Well, greetings. I hope this video don't start out like the last one where it sounds like demons and stuff coming out of me. I don't know what went on with that video, but I don't know how to edit or anything. Excuse me, I lost my little wrist dealie that I use for my mouse. I kind of made it myself, you know, so it keeps my wrist up so I don't end up with the carpal tunnel thing. Now, I'd like to recap from the last two videos that I started this new series off. That I can tell you what I entitled it. Maybe, well, I gotta, it's gonna be called something like Enoch describes righteous 144,000 in detail, number 1. That'll probably be the name of this video. The first two videos I did was Are You 144,000 question mark, and All of Salvation in 3 sentences, part 1 and 2. And what I basically want you to know from all of that is that there is a test that we can use here to find out whether somebody that's claiming that they're of the 144,000 are or are not, because Enoch will describe to you in detail what it is that qualified them to be, according to the word that he spoke. Now, you can believe this or not, he speaks of the 144,000 as being the righteous ones, and those that are going to be of a number that no man can count are those who are alive. I discussed how, the way to salvation is in 3 sentences. The first sentence is keep the 10 Commandments. The second is to keep the 613 laws. And the third is then to trust in your King. Our King, completely 100% with everything, and I didn't do that. Okay? And I hadn't done it for quite a while. I had to just give up on it and say, the hell with it, if no one's going to help me here. I'm keeping the laws and commandments, and you're not going to help me. And here I'm keeping man's laws, and they're ignoring it, and they're letting frauds ruin me and destroy my life through their system, where they got these policemen that are actually, if you want to look at the description in man's law, they're considered a criminal street gang. They've got insignia on their uniforms and such. Now, I'm not speaking so bad about the ones that are actually out there to do their job. I'm talking about those that'll take the bribes and those that'll, corrupt their power and let their power go to their head because they don't realize they're given that task in their life. Now, if they're Christians, hopefully they're not out there doing this kind of thing so that they can just ruin people's lives with what they're doing. But it's got to the point, we've got over 4 million laws in New York. We got over 4 million laws in Texas where these problems came up from. And what I'm wanting to do is explain that these problems have to come on a person. It's, to qualify one of the 144,000, one of the righteous. It says you got to be run through tests and trials. Well, what is trials? It's court cases, my friend, okay? Oh, and I almost forgot here. Let me put this on like 10 minutes. And hopefully, we'll shut off pretty shortly after that. I'll try to run through 10 minutes of this. I'm going to show you what qualifies you. I just told you what you need to do if you want salvation. So what I'm going to start doing here, I've posted the book for you. I hope in the first 2 series, I hope you already got it posted to your page. If not, and if you haven't watched this, please go back and, watch the first one especially. And I'm going to tell you the things of the 144,000, the wicked, and those that are alive in these days. I recommend you actually start with Enoch 101, but I'm going to start with Enoch 103 because he's speaking of us in whatever capacity we are in. Pope, sheriff, judge, whatever title you want to put on a man, okay, because you're all men. Okay, and no matter what little title you hide behind of man, our King sees you. Okay, you can't even hide under the rock without him seeing you. So, what I'm going to do, though, is for the sake of clarity as well as condensing this, because it's going to be a few things to show you, everything to show where I qualify, If you don't believe so, then you need to show me where I don't, according to what Enoch says and the Holy Scriptures as well. So Enoch 103, verse 1, well, what the chapter starts off with saying is the two destinies of the righteous and the sinners, more woes unto the sinners. 103, verse 1. I now swear to you, righteous ones, by splendor of Yahweh, the Great One. And of course, I want to point out what righteous means again. It's in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 25. And it says, this will be your righteousness. This will be accounted to you as righteousness if you keep the commandments that your heavenly Father commanded you on Horeb. Okay, so if you keep the commandments, then you are righteous. Because if you're keeping the commandments, the only way to do that is by keeping the 613 laws that explain and define how the 10 commandments must be kept, and then putting your trust in Yahshua. So these are the ones he's speaking to here. He says, I now swear to you, righteous ones. Now Enoch's making this, he's swearing this to me. And I'm going to prove to you he's swearing it to me, and I'm no big guy. I don't want you to follow me. I'm simply going to tell you what our Heavenly Father has to say, and you're going to hear me now, because Enoch's going to tell you that you will, if you got ears to hear, eyes to see, and a heart, okay? A lot of us don't have a heart, Most of them are so stony, it's going to have to take a heart transplant. Okay, that's what it is, but not from a pig or anything else. I now swear to you, righteous ones, by the splendor of Yahweh the Great One, and by the splendor of his kingdom, and I swear to you even by the Almighty One. And we're told not to swear these ways, but Enoch was quite certain, and he walked with Yahweh, so I'm going to say he knew what he was doing when he swore by Yahweh, because this is Yahweh's word. For I know this mystery. I have read the tablets of heaven and have seen the Kodesh writings. Kodesh means holy. And those that are these righteous ones will teach you the difference between the clean and the unclean, the holy, the Kodesh, and the profane. The same way with writings and everything else that you put into your temple as well. I have read the tablets of heaven and have seen the Kodesh writings, the holy writings, and I have understood the writing in them. And they are inscribed concerning you. See, so many people think our king came, he was on a cloud strumming a harp for billions and trillions and gazillions of years, and one day Yahweh says, hey, jump down there in Miriam's womb. No, Yahshua was known because of these writings. We were known before Yahweh even made it, when he's making his plan, before he spoke, let there be light, we were already known. I wasn't sitting on no cloud. I had nothing going for me until my daddy and mommy got together, and boom, there I was. I wasn't on no cloud with Yahshua playing, and I can keep these laws and commandments except for where I'm ignorant. Okay? When I'm ignorant, there are things come up that I'm still ignorant. These are the traps and the wiles of the adversary. But anyway, it states, and I have understood the writing in them, and they are inscribed concerning you. For all righteous things and joy and honor are prepared for and written down for the souls of those who died in righteousness. Now, most wouldn't understand that part, and like I say, the king opened it up to me, so I can't deny it. But these souls who died in righteousness, what takes place when a man or woman or child is baptized? What do? You die in that watery grave, and you leave that old sinful person behind. That's what it's saying. These souls of those who died in righteousness. Many and righteous things shall be given to you, the offshoot of your labors. Your lot exceeds even that of the living ones. So whoever's out there that's actually hearing my words and you're wealthy, I'm going to exceed that. It states it. I actually own the state of Texas, okay? In contractual agreements, I own the state of Texas. I pretty much own the United States. But the thing is, I gave it all to our king. It's all in the court records. Everything is owned by our king now in Satan's courts. I was used to do this, and my friends are like, you don't want to do that. They're going to kill you, Al. They're going to do this. And I couldn't help myself. I was led. I had to do these things. You'll see. It says, the spirits of those who died in righteousness shall live and rejoice. Their spirits shall not perish, nor their memorial before the face of Yahweh, the Great One, unto all the generations of the world. And there's going to come, another 10 generations or 100 generations, whatever. 10 generations when our king takes over, because it's going to go on for 1,000 years. This millennial reign, they'll live for 100 years, blah, blah, blah. And then Satan will be released 1,000 years from now, about, give or take, give a couple years, because our king ain't returned. 1,000 years is our king's reign. Then at the end of that, Satan's released 100 years to go on the. And I'm not reading that from this. I'm just spilling out stuff that's stuck in me, so that I might be able to give it to you freely, and more will come to me, like is already doing here. But anyway, he says in verse 103, verse 4, at the very end, he says, therefore do not worry about their humiliation. And I know, and I'm not going to worry about their humiliation, because when they're humiliated, and even these that it says that I got to come against, I've already forgiven them for their sins. Now they do owe me for what they stole from me, okay, and everything. They owe this, plus the contractual agreements we made, which they didn't honor. They owe me. And Yahweh says there's going to be this investigation, and Enoch told about it. And you're going to see what they're going to investigate, and you'll hear it first from me, because then you'll know that what I tell you is from our king. You still have to look at what I tell you, but I'm not going to lie to you. And you might have a little more insight to open it up a little more, and I hope you do, and show it to me. But what I'm telling you is true, and it's solid on the foundation. So anyway, 103 verse 5. Woe unto you sinners who are dead. Those are the ones, let the dead bury the dead. When you are dead in the wealth of your sins, those who are like you will say of you, joyous are you sinners. The sinners have seen all their days. They have died now in posterity and wealth. They have not experienced struggle and battle in their lifetime, and many of you do that. And if you do, I pray you get on your knees right now and say, Yahshua, I'm listening to Al-Yahnai, man, and he says that I should be getting my ass kicked, and I ain't. And I got all this wealth, and I ain't never got a problem, got a flat tire. I ain't got to wait a week to get it fixed, because, hell, I can buy 100 of them at any given time. My paycheck is big enough that, the neighbors down the street ain't got food, but I got plenty of money for tires if I need it. Think about these things. It says they have died in splendor, and there was no judgment in their lifetime. In other words, they weren't under the laws that they should have been living by. There was no judgment to see if they did right or wrong, because they got everything they wanted. Those are the ones for the second resurrection, by the way, not the first that's coming here shortly. 103:7, you yourselves know that they will bring your souls down to hell, and they shall experience evil, and great tribulation and darkness, nets and burning flame. Your souls shall enter into great judgment. It shall be great judgment in all the generations of the world. Woe unto you, for there is no shalom for you. And shalom means peace, and a bunch of other stuff, but there's going to be no peace for you ones that are sinners. Now he says, now to the righteous. Speaking of those, Deuteronomy 6:25, so on and so forth. Those who practice keeping the laws, or righteousness. Those who practice righteousness are righteous. Those who practice keeping the laws are keeping the laws, in other words, okay? Now to the righteous and kind ones during their lifetime. Do not say in the days of our toil, we have surely suffered hardships and have experienced every trouble. I'm not supposed to say this, but what choice is there? Enoch already said it for me. says, we have faced many evil things and have become consumed. We have died and become few, characterized by the littleness of our spirit. We have been destroyed, and we have found none whatsoever to help us with a word or otherwise. We have been tortured and destroyed. He's talking about me here, okay? And anyone else out there who claims you're the 144,000, because those in churchianity say that they're waiting for tribulation, but tribulation's already come against those who keep the commandments. Read about it. That's what the beast is coming after. It says, we have been tortured and destroyed and could not even hope to see life from one day to the other. My life sucked. For you, I'm your reward. I'm showing you my qualifications where you should listen to what our King is telling you through me. And I don't want your money. It says, 103:11, we hope to be the head and to become the tail. Yes, I have been the tail. Look at I offered judges to take me to the parking lot with a gun just to prove, if they could just prove what they brought me to court was true. Okay, and this went on many times. I offered them to chop off my head, because it was complete frauds they brought me to court in. And this is what this all culminates to, and this is all the proof that Enoch is speaking of in the qualifications of those who are righteous. And I'm only right. I don't like to say I'm righteous, but he calls me righteous. Yahweh calls me righteous. Yahshua calls me righteous, because I practice righteousness, but it's like, I'm not that, we'll get into those things later. Verse 103:11, we hope to be the head and become the tail. We have moiled as we toiled, but had no authority over our own toil. It was like, no matter what we did, we stood on man's law, no one would listen. We stood on our Father's law. We got none of the rewards from keeping it or anything that you do for paying your tithes, and now you got a Mercedes. These things didn't apply to us, fellas, It's like, wow. We have become like the victuals of the sinners and the oppressors. They have made their yoke heavy upon us. Those who hate us while goading us and encompassing us have become masters over us, in their own mind, of course. We have bowed our necks to those who hate us, but they had no pity on us, and I'll show you. It's documented. We wanted to get away from them in order that we may escape and be at rest. But we found no place to which we might flee and be safe from them. No, there was no place I could go. I mean, even when I moved here, the neighbors already knew before I got here that I was some kind of great sinner. Things that go against children and everything. They got the word from somebody, I don't know, but all my neighbors think, and I got an aunt and uncle live right next door. They love me. But somehow all the neighbors think I'm, horrible. And that's okay. That's what it's supposed to be. Like it says, verse 103:12. Those who hate us while goading us and encompassing us have become masters over us. We bowed our necks to those who hate us, but they had no pity on us. We wanted to get away from them in order that we may escape and be at rest, but we found no place that we might flee and be safe from them. Now here, pay particular attention. I'm only going to read part of this verse, and then we're going to cut it off and go to the next video. But it says in 103:14, it says, then in our tribulation, talking about the righteous ones that are already here and keeping the commandments, in our great tribulation, we brought a charge against them before the authorities and cried out against those who were devouring us. And what I'm going to show you in the next thing here, the charge, okay? Now I want you to pay particular close attention to this. There is a postal stamp there in the corner. Wrong way. See right here? That's the Abilene Post Office. You see what it says up here? It's a negotiable contract. And what I do is in this contract, I charge a man who acts as a corrupt judge for the corruption of his services and the harms and damages he did against me. And as you can see right there, I charged the authorities. Okay? So, we're going to leave it off with that. And I'm crying out, please do pray that justice come, okay? Because this is going to help out. You know, I got no desire for wealth. But this year, like I say, I own the state of Texas. And you may laugh, but that's to the point that Enoch has made here, that they are going to make an investigation. It's going to come by your prayers. Ain't no money on my part going to be spent. Okay? And nobody's going to collect that $100,000 reward, because that's going to feed some widows and orphans. I'm going to tell you what. That's what that's going to do. It's going to help some widows and orphans to get some, Bibles, some water, across this world. We got to help one another. Okay? And that's what we're into this for. It's all a test. It's a classroom. You're in a classroom. It's not here for your comfort. Okay? And the more you suffer, I guess the better off you'll be. Sucks all this time. I'm never seen what the kingdom looks like, never had a vision of it. But, I know I'm one of the 144,000, and I'm going to show it to you. You can believe it or don't, but if you don't believe it, you better prove it. Okay? Moshe talked about prophets, that would be standing up, and that ain't me. He never said the 144,000 is going to be a prophet. I'm just like you and me, okay? And I'm just saying, hey, we can do this. All you got to do is stop sinning. It's something that the preachers don't tell you to do, but you're paying them. Why don't you not pay me and just do what I tell you to do? Because the scriptures tell you that. It's a supernatural book. And it'll open up to you. I bet you read it a whole lot different now after you listen to my first video. You look at the scriptures a whole lot different. They've opened up already. They're starting to breathe, ain't they? You're seeing law and commandments everywhere. You're seeing love, which means commandments, keeping the commandments and the laws. That's in 2nd Yachanan. Okay, it's just a one-page book. And it says there, Yachanan's like, hey, and I beseech thee now, lady, that you love one another. And this is love, that you keep his commandments. That's what love is. And I love you. In other words, I law you. And we'll get on with this next video here shortly. I'll put out hopefully another one or two anyway tonight, so that you can see and verify those that are the 144,000. They should have credentials. Don't just take their word of it. They should have their credentials. We will be sealed, and I've been revealed. I don't know who else will be next, but I know my brother Shul most likely is one. He's had similar situations in the courts. I've helped him with it, okay? And he's been falsely accused by these people, and he's charged the authorities, okay? So, and you'll see, I've charged them. Millions and billions of dollars, trillions of dollars by now. I've charged them, and the bill is still ticking. Every second I'm making like thousands and thousands of dollars every second by all the people that are actually charged and haven't answered yet to the contract that they want to deny because it's their law and they don't want to keep it. But they are going to have to, because Enoch says they're going to be investigated. And you'll see they will investigate this. Pray for it. Please pray for it. Pray for our King to come. Praise our King. Shalom.